He looked down at her, through her, and she was struck by the symmetry in his face, by the angles of his jaw, his nose, his cheekbones. His eyes were a dark, opaque blue, but there was a light in them, something burning there. "Yes," she said. "Is it possible for me to see him?" The near smile again. He had to work at producing it. He was holding a map in his hand, and he waved it in the direction of Chris's office. "My name is Jeff Cabrio. He doesn't know me." She was staring, imagining how the angles of his face would transfer to her clay, and she dropped her gaze to the intercom on her desk. Punching the button, she called Chris. He sounded surprised to hear there was someone to see him. Since she'd been working for him, only a few people had come to the office, including a few of the kids Chris had coached in baseball, who tried to convince him to chuck this lame job and come back to Valle Rosa High School. Chris had said there was nothing he would like better, but that right now his first responsibility was to all of Valle Rosa, not only the high school's fledgling baseball team. Mia hung up the phone and told Jeff Cabrio to have a seat, that Chris would be out shortly. He sat down, spreading the map open on his knees. As he traced routes with the tip of his finger, Mia slipped a piece of typing paper onto her desktop and began sketching him, surreptitiously, looking up, down, growing more brazen as she realized he was absorbed in his map and unaware of her. He was what Glenn would have called an artist's lure, someone an artist couldn't resist, someone born to be painted, photographed, sculpted. Mia had been Glenn's student long before she was his lover, and he had taught her how to pick a lure from a crowd. Not a classic beauty, necessarily, he had said in his clipped London accent, but someone whose features will transfer to the clay with an element of drama. Mia wished Glenn could see Jeff Cabrio. Glenn would have to exercise enormous self-control not to approach him, not to ask him if the planes of his face and arms and hands were reflected in the rest of his body. He would be too well-mannered to do that, of course, but not too polite to stare, blatantly. More than once, Glenn had been propositioned by other men who had caught him staring unabashedly at their biceps, thighs, or buttocks. Glenn had told Mia she had the body of a lure, but not the face. "Your cheeks are too full," he had said. "Your lips are too pouty." At the time, she had been so convinced of his love for her that she hadn't thought to take his words as an insult. "But your body, Sonny, your body is a lure, pure and simple." She'd been 24 then, a born and bred Southern California girl who didn't fit the mold. She wasn't tan. Her dishwater blonde hair bore no sunstreaks. She was slender, so slender, in fact, that every muscle, every tendon was visible beneath her skin. The muscles hadn't come from surfing or skating or a health club. They'd been earned over the years from lifting her mother, turning her, helping her into the bathtub. It was the way her calf muscle shifted just below the skin that had intrigued Glenn, the way her long, delicate fingers slipped over the clay that made her a lure in his eyes. He had asked her into his office early that school year, where he told her that she was extraordinarily talented. "It's frightening, really," he'd said, and that when he watched her, when he saw the smile grow on her face as she lost herself in her work, he felt something very deep inside himself. But Glenn was 10 years her senior and ever the gentleman. He would never have wanted to suggest impropriety. "You're my student," he had said, disappointing her, "and as long as you are, I won't act on my feelings." After her graduation ceremony, he approached her, took her hands, leaned down to whisper in her ear. "I want to take you someplace wonderful for dinner," he said. "I want to sculpt you, and I want to make love to you." "In that order?" she asked. "In that order." She was only mildly taken aback by his desire to sculpt her, although she